This is CBC Vancouver News.
Major developments in a murder that rocked Canada's relationship with India.
And these efforts include investigating connections to the government of India.
So there's some relief, but there's a lot of questions still.
Now, 3 arrests and charges in the shooting death of BC Sikh activist Hardeep Singh Nijjar in Surrey. Foreign interference, yes, but to what degree?
There is one writing where this information may have led to the election of one candidate over another.
How China's meddling attempts may have altered the results of a BC riding in the last federal election. Also, one single goal has pushed the Vancouver Canucks one step closer to the Stanley Cup.
Puts the puck behind the net to Besser. Broadcaster center, Suter scores! Here's Suter with 1:39 to go. Suter has the Canucks on the board.
Tonight's win sending them to round 2 of the playoffs. Hello, thanks for joining us. I'm Janella Hamilton. We begin with major developments in a BC murder case that wound up triggering a diplomatic rift between Canada and India. Today, police have arrested 3 men in the shooting death of Hardeep Singh Nijjar, who was gunned down outside his Gurdwara in Surrey last June. As Evan Dyer reports, there are now more allegations surfacing of more assassinations on Canadian soil.
Hardeep Singh Nijjar walks to his pickup truck, unaware that his killers are waiting at his Surrey Gurdwara in this video obtained by the CBC's Fifth Estate. Police say the 3 men now arrested were part of this hit squad, apprehended separately in morning raids in Edmonton after more than 10 months of investigation.
The murder of Mr. Nijjar at the Scott Road Gurdwara was outrageous and it was reprehensible.
Nijjar was a prominent Sikh separatist seen as an enemy by the government of India. Canadian investigators soon became convinced that New Delhi was behind the killing.
Agents of the government of India and the killing of a Canadian citizen.
India reacted with furious denials, expelling diplomats and banning Canadians from getting tourist visas. But sources close to the investigation believe the alleged hit squad may be connected to more killings. Just 2 days after Justin Trudeau publicly accused India, Sukhdev Singh Gill, a man India had listed just 1 day before as a terrorist, was shot multiple times in Winnipeg. 6 weeks after that, a brutal daylight shooting. The victims were Punjabi organised crime figure Harpreet Uppal and his 11-year-old son, Gavin.
The shooter or the shooters learned that the son was there. They intentionally killed him.
No charges have been laid in those cases. Sources say those charged with Nijjar's murder are Indian nationals who entered Canada on temporary visas, some as fake international students. Nijjar's close associate, who U.S. authorities say was also targeted by an Indian government murder plot, says this is the beginning.
So what Canadian agencies have today have arrested the Modi's hit squad, and basically they have arrested the foot soldiers. But the kingpins who orchestrated and who planned and executed the assassinations.
There are separate and distinct investigations ongoing into these matters, certainly not limited to the involvement of the people arrested today. And these efforts include investigating connections to the government of India.
2 former directors of Canada's spy agencies say they believe New Delhi is responsible and not rogue operatives.
Do I think the Indians were part of it? Yeah, I have thought that from the beginning.
People do not go off on tangents in the Indian public service and succeed.
That's Evan Dyer reporting. Those developments today have sparked strong reaction here in BC. As Belpuri is finding out, many are relieved with the news of the arrests and charges, but say there are still many questions left unanswered.
News of arrests in the killing of Hardeep Singh Nijjar spread quickly.
I feel so it's a good thing. It's a great achievement.
For some, it was a sense of relief.
Ultimately, when these kinds of events take place, rumors take hold in the community, and we need some sense of clarity, and this is hopefully the beginning of that clarity.
To that end, the arrests present few answers, yet raise many questions about the assassination of the Sikh separatists.
But who ordered it? Where does this kind of connect back to India? Who was involved? Whether that's Indian consulates here or the High Commission.
Niger's killing had all the earmarks of a highly coordinated attack.
We really want to know what could be possible motives and who could be the people behind. I mean, these could be just puppets. We need to find out who the puppeteer is. That's a larger question which is bothering the community at this moment.
Supporters of Niger's stance for an independent Sikh state in India reiterated calls for a public inquiry into his murder.
The shooters are obvious in a criminal investigation, but from a political standpoint and a community safety standpoint, we're still more interested in knowing who from the Indian side is involved.
In response to the arrests, Surrey Mayor Brenda Locke urged the federal government to take every opportunity to determine if there was foreign government involvement in the murder of a Canadian citizen on Canadian soil. Most agree if India had a hand in the killing, it needs to be exposed. BC's former premier has some choice words.
Look, India was a democracy, thriving democracy. We are not. At this moment, we don't have very friendly relations, but we don't support the dismemberment of a friendly country, just like we don't support Quebec going out of Canada. Our politicians are cowards.
The arrests are a step forward, but one that only scratches the surface of what's behind last year's killing. Belle Puri, CBC News, Vancouver.
The Surrey man arrested earlier this week in the White Rock stabbings has now been charged in both attacks. They happened within days of each other in the same area along the waterfront, sparking public safety concerns in the community. 27-year-old Dimitri Nelson Hyacinth has now been charged with second-degree murder in the death of 26-year-old Kulwinder Singh Sohi, who was stabbed to death near the pier a couple weeks ago. Earlier this week, Hyacinth was charged with aggravated assault in the attack of Jatinder Singh, who was left with stab wounds to the back of his neck. China's foreign meddling attempts during Canada's last two elections didn't change who won, but may have altered the results in two specific ridings. That's the upshot of the first report from the public inquiry into foreign interference. As the CBC's Ashley Burke explains, one of those ridings flagged by the commissioner is here in BC.
After reviewing top-secret intelligence and the testimony of dozens of witnesses, the commissioner of the public inquiry said foreign interference did occur in Canada's past two elections, but
our system remains sound.
Marie-Josée Ugg says the overall outcome of the elections were not altered.
Nor did this foreign interference have any impact on which party formed the government in the...
But Ugg said foreign interference did have an impact.
Some of these acts have been established while others remain only suspected, are a stain on our electoral process and impacted the process leading up to the actual vote.
The commissioner pointed to two examples of ridings that may have been impacted, including one BC riding in 2021, formerly held by Conservative Kenny Chiu.
There is one riding where this information may have led to the election of one candidate over another, but I cannot say for sure.
Ugg said she also can't exclude the possibility that Beijing interfered in a Liberal nomination race in Don Valley North in 2019, won by Han Dong.
This report is a damning set of conclusions and findings in the first phase of this inquiry.
The public safety minister said the government's reviewing the report to help improve Canada's defenses against foreign adversaries.
Canada has robust safeguards in place to protect our democracy, and the Government of Canada continuously adjusts these measures to meet the long-standing and continuously evolving threat.
The inquiry's commissioner said that perhaps the greatest harm that Canada suffered was that foreign adversaries accomplished one of their goals, undermining the public's trust in Canadian democracy. The next phase of the inquiry is scheduled for the fall. Ashley Burke, CBC News, Ottawa.
Well, if you're thinking about selling your home, you're going to have steep competition. According to Greater Vancouver Realtors, the number of active listings has reached a 4-year high. The number of homes for sale is up 42% year over year. The region hasn't seen this many units on the market since 2020. Analysts have long anticipated the surge following the Bank of Canada rate hikes, but that hadn't yet happened yet.
Our region has grown by millions of people. So it's while the number is significant and we're seeing an increase, the longer term context, I think, still gives you a sense of just how low the number really is.
He says compared to historic averages, the number of homes for sale in Metro Vancouver is still relatively low, which is keeping prices high. Right now, the average cost of a home across all types in the region is $1.2 million. Well, it's official. The Vancouver Canucks are going to the next round of the Stanley Cup playoffs. It came down to this one single goal in Game 6 earlier this evening.
Puts the puck behind the net to Besser. Brock gets a center, Suter scores! Here's Suter with a minute 39 to go. Suter has the Canucks on the
Canucks fans have been celebrating the 1-0 win on the streets of Metro Vancouver tonight. Take a look. Hundreds of people in Abbotsford, along Scott Road in Surrey and in Delta, waving flags and cheering in excitement as the Canucks prepare to face the Edmonton Oilers in the second round of the playoffs, expected to start on Tuesday. However, the official schedule has yet to be announced. John Hernandez was at the game at Rogers Arena tonight and has more on what the next match may look like.
It's going to be a tough matchup, I'm sure, a very competitive matchup between these two teams, but it will be the first time Rogers Arena has hosted round 2 of the playoffs since 2011. An all-Canadian matchup, and you can expect a lot of watch parties probably here at Rogers Arena. But also another question emerges is now what happens in terms of public viewings for these games. We know Mayor Ken Sim has said he's wanted to throw a party for the public to watch the Canucks outdoors, but wants to do it responsibly. Well, now we know there's at least 4 more games in the second round, could go to 7, depending on how things shake out. So there will be some questions as to whether or not fans will be able to gather outdoors to watch these games in the second round.
Some fans have been getting creative in how they're showing their support for the Canucks. One manager brought the playoff spirit to his Save On Foods in Kelowna using pop cans.
This is my goal. He's about 15 feet tall. I've had this plan for about 6 years now. I wanted to build this. Now the Canucks finally have a good chance to win, so I wanted to bring him out.
What do you think of that? How do you even stay like that? Like, how do you even make it?
I started with a grid paper, then count all the boxes, and then my Pepsi guy or Coke guy will give me all the boxes, and then we got to assemble them all. We set them up at nighttime when there's nobody in the store, so there's no one around to get hurt or nothing, so it's easy to, be able to build it.
Coming to work, you never know what you're going to see when you come in the morning. We're pretty excited about our extra up and above displays. It makes us a little different than our competitors to add a little excitement to our customers' experience. There has been quite a few fans coming and taking snapshots of that for sure, and that creates that excitement as well around the game time. So yeah, it's worth the while to see their faces.
I'm a big hockey fan, love the Canucks. Been to a lot of games, so it's good to see them winning. Display will stay up as long as they keep winning, so I hope they keep display up.
Princess Anne, the sister of King Charles, began her 3-day visit to BC today. The Princess Royal took part in a ceremony in North Vancouver welcoming Canada's first Arctic and offshore patrol vessel into the Pacific Fleet. The vessel, HMCS Max Bernier's, arrived in its new home port in Esquimalt last month and is set to sail back there following the ceremony. She's also scheduled to visit the Maritime Museum of BC in Victoria and attend a service at the BC Legislature. Still ahead, with this taste of summer-like weather, you might be thinking of hitting the water. After the break, we take We hit the water with some boat safety tips. That's next. Summer is just around the corner. Many British Columbians will be heading out for some fun on the water. But safety is top of mind with 2 drownings already this year. Last month, 2 men died while kayaking off Vancouver Island. Joel Ballard visited a local kayak center to learn how to paddle safely.
Paddle sports on the water are a popular pastime here in BC. Canoeing, kayaking, stand-up paddleboarding, but they also come with a certain level of risk, the potential for drowning. Well, we've come to the Jericho Kayak Center here in Vancouver to learn some tips and tricks about how to stay safe on the water. Hey EJ, how's it going?
Hi Joel, so nice to meet you.
Hey, thanks for having us.
Yeah, of course.
EJ is the BC Director for Paddle Canada, a not-for-profit organization focused on paddling education and certification. Every year, it offers 2,000 courses across the country with more than 12,000 participants. EJ is going to take me out on a kayak, but first things first, we need to fix my outfit. He says the cotton's got to go. Okay, EJ.
Perfect.
I have finished squishing myself into that wetsuit. You have a dry suit.
Yes.
So we're almost ready, but I see you have something else.
Yeah, so we always want to wear a PFD when we go out on the water, and we want to make sure we always wear it and it's always zipped up.
Yeah, so we have been hearing about life jackets and the importance of life jackets for water safety, you know, from a very young age, especially if you go to swimming lessons. Does that message get through?
So I find what I see around here, most people do, but often like the more recreational people get in their craft, so stand-up paddleboards or the recreational kayaks or even powerboats, people start to just take their life jackets off, and like that is not okay.
Drowning is a preventable public health issue in Canada. Yet the Life Saving Society says around 460 Canadians die from drowning every year. And it says 80% of boating deaths involve people who aren't wearing a life jacket. EJ says life jackets need to be zipped up and tightened so they are nice and snug.
So one nice test always is you want to pull your shoulder straps and see how far you can pull it up. It shouldn't really go up above your ears.
So this is a fail?
Yeah, you might actually want to tighten that a little bit more.
Next, we focus on what to pack.
So there are some pieces of equipment that are required by Transport Canada that we always bring, which includes the PFD we already talked about, which includes the whistle. You always want to bring a paddle, as well as a pump and a throwback.
He also recommends packing a dry bag filled with a full set of warm clothing, a first aid kit, water and snacks, a paddle float which helps to get back into your kayak if you capsize, a phone in a waterproof case, and VHF radio. We have the proper clothing, the proper equipment, we've checked the forecast, the tides, EJ has all the training, and with that, it's time to get on the water. We launch out into English Bay, the North Shore Mountains and the Vancouver cityscape serving as our backdrop. We even had a visitor. Paddling water sports are popular on rivers, lakes, and the ocean, but open water, like where we are now, presents its own unique challenges.
Open water, like one of the things we definitely see quite a bit here is like there's always some wind. So you want to be prepared for the wind and again for those changing conditions. So the wind just makes the water a little bit rougher. You always want to start by going into the wind so you have the wind in your back coming home. Otherwise people just paddle way too far and then they won't be able to make it back.
He says kayakers should also be careful around currents and large crossings that seem closer than they actually are.
The biggest thing always is training, right? Like knowing how to actually behave in that environment, having the kayaking skills to prevent a capsize, but even if you were to capsize, having the skills to get back into your boat.
Okay, so EJ, for anyone who wants to take up kayaking, but they might see it as a little daunting or even a little scary, what advice would you give them?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, just like take a lesson, right? Like learn from instructors, learn from those who know what they're doing, and then they can teach you to kind of like get started and paddle in the conditions that are basically right for your skill level.
Surrounded with so much beauty and with such easy access, it's hard not to be tempted to BC's waters. And by being prepared, experts like EJ say they can be safely enjoyed time and time again. Joel Ballard, CBC News, Vancouver.
Here we have a live shot of the Georgia Viaduct with Science World in the background. Darius will have our full forecast coming up next.
Hi, I'm Amy Bell, and here's what's in your CBC Vancouver inbox.
With the changes to how Canada is able to access journalism online and on social media, we want to assure you that when you're looking for CBC News, you'll always be able to find us. Local news, breaking stories, and the latest from around the world is at your fingertips any time of the day with the free CBC News app and online at cbcnews.ca. For news you can trust, download the CBC News app and stay connected wherever you are.
The weather update is brought to you by Direct Buy Furnace. To cool and clean the air in your home, call Direct Buy Furnace. Installing Trane, the most reliable heating and cooling brand.
Darius Madavi joins us now with a look at our weekend weather. Darius, what are we in store for?
In the interior, we've got a sunny weekend ahead. Here on the coast, it's going to be a cloudy and showery, at times rainy one. So if we take a look, we're going to see that rain that's currently happening on the island roll off, but then some more cloud starts to move in early morning Sunday. We're mostly dry tomorrow, which is why I've sort of skipped through it, but there will be a decent amount of cloud cover. Some showers will pop up in some places, but mostly dry. Sunday, we start to see the next system roll in, affecting more of the coast. We're going to see some more heavy rainfall across much of the coast, and then it's going to make its way down here to Vancouver, probably overnight Sunday into Monday, which is where we get that here. In terms of Sunday, during the day, we're going to see in the afternoon the heaviest rainfall of all the day-long period. It does seem to be shifting earlier, though, so if you are running the marathon, be aware that it might be a little bit wetter, but for now it looks like just some drizzle in the morning. As we continue to see this roll forward, we'll see some more activity start to pop up in parts of the interior, especially the southern half of the province, as we get later into the weekend and early next week, especially, probably Monday. As for Tuesday, we start to see a drying period and a clearing period for the south coast as another system rolls in for the north coast and the central coast. So a bit of a dry period ahead as well. We'll talk about that in a second. Temperatures tomorrow coming up pretty much across the province and then falling for the south coast, well, really the whole coast especially, falling again on Sunday, and then on Monday they slowly start to recover and will continue to recover into next week. In terms of conditions tomorrow, mostly sunny with some cloud throughout parts of the interior. There'll be plenty of sunny periods, but the cloud will move in at times. And then on the coast, we start to see that rain, particularly for the more southern parts of the province. Southwestern BC is really the one place where we're wet tomorrow. If we take a look at our 5-day forecast for Metro Vancouver, you'll notice a cloudy day, a couple showery days, even a rainy overnight period. And then we start to see some sunnier conditions. And this is going to be the big weather story next week. Big ridge of high pressure likely to set up, probably meaning we get a dry, sunny, and warming week ahead. Temperatures inland and in Fraser Valley probably reaching 20, even 25 degrees Celsius by the end of next week. So drier, sunnier, warmer stretch ahead, Janella.
A little taste of summer to come, possibly. Thanks so much, Darius.
Thank you.
That is your late news for this Friday. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. For news anytime, visit our website at cbc.ca/bc. Hope you have a great night.